Throughout my junior years, like in pretty much every international race I did, I always made like a 20-minute mistake. Just raising that level of speed has helped me in the knockout sprints and sprints.
What do you do outside of orienteering?
I work full-time. I think probably for Viola in particular, it probably was the map preparation. If I'm really stressed about a particular race, I will write down all my thoughts and feelings about it beforehand. No, I wouldn't say I'm a sprint specialist.
Today, I'm talking with someone who has reached and grabbed the highest possible reward in the orienteering world. And I'm talking, of course, about the gold medal and the golden medalist from this year's World Champs sprint distance is Megan Carter-Davies. A very interesting talk. You cannot miss this one, so please enjoy. So, Megan, very nice to meet you. Thank you for joining the talk. And we are meeting here today to have a little chat about, well, in general, your road to becoming the world champion this year in sprint orienteering. So congratulations for that, of course. It's like the crowning of all the other smaller successes that came along the way to get you to where you managed to get this year. But in the meantime, I will also take as many opportunities as I can to dig into some other topics that might maybe not be directly related, but you know, I'm just a curious guy. So I will dig if I smell the chance. All right, sounds good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's start. So the first one is actually something that I start my intro video from. And this is something that is that has been interesting to me for many years. I had an opportunity to talk with one of the British coaches during one of the J-Walks, I think it was in Norway. So that was already some time ago. But I'm still curious how it's going and what's your point of view on this. So I'm not going to tell you what he told me, but I'll just ask the question. So the question is, why do you think the Brits have made so much progress in the past years? And I think it's visible to everyone that there has been a new quality and a lot of work put into what the younger British runners are achieving, and we can see the results. So I'm just curious, what do you think is the most important contributing what are the most important contributing factors? Yeah, what's going on? How did you do that?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's anything in like specific that's changed. It might just be that the people coming through are more determined in a way. We've actually had a lot of funding cut. I think when I was a junior, the funding was being cut at the time when I was coming through like age 16, 17, 18. And we had to pay for quite a lot of our training camps and like pay for competitions. And we still do, we still pay for competitions and things. And I think maybe having to do that makes you consider how much you want to do the sport. And I don't know, maybe you just appreciate it more when you're actually doing the sport and you put more into it personally then, in a way. I don't know. That's kind of the only thing I can think of. Maybe some of the coaches that we've had, like we had Mark Nixon in Edinburgh, which is our kind of centre of excellence. And he was a really good technical coach up there for a while. He's just moved this year to athletics, but yeah, we've got someone else in place now. And I think he really helped with the sort of junior team. And I don't know, I think in Britain, we don't have so much of a culture of, I don't know, analysing your mistakes as much as becoming faster physically. You know, we've got like a lot more focus on athletics and hill running and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I think having Mark Nixon as the technical coach, I think he helped like encourage the juniors to analyze more mistakes and the technical side of things. I mean, we do have a lot of people helping the junior squads up and down the country, but maybe at the GB team level for the juniors, I think he was really helpful in that approach. Yeah.
So thanks. I was thinking after the mentioned talk with the British coach that maybe the contributing factor was this center of excellence, as you mentioned, I think he said that there were two created in Great Britain.
Yeah, possibly one in Sheffield as well. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't remember where was the second one, right? But I remember that we were talking about it, and he said that this is a very important factor because it allows a group of people to train together, to grow together, and it's always easier to grow with the group than by yourself. So you have more opportunities to share your mistakes and learn from them. You have more opportunities to talk about different approaches to orienteering strategies and so on and so on, right?
Yeah. I didn't personally actually go to Edinburgh at all, because it's in Scotland and I'm from Wales and I came to university in Bristol. So it's all I'm sort of southern Britain based. But yeah, I think I could tell from that group in Edinburgh, it's a really strong group. And we had a lot of the runners from the GB team who have been to Edinburgh or go to Edinburgh, kind of thing. Yeah.
Cool. So that's very good to hear. Now, another thing that sparked my interest is you've mentioned that there is a lot of emphasis put into the physical running rather than orienteering technique.
Yeah.
What do you think when you started to do a little bit more of mistakes analysis, post-race analysis? How much do you think it contributed to you being a better orienteer today?
Oh yeah, massively. I mean, I think throughout my junior years, like in pretty much every international race I did, I always made like a 20-minute mistake. I think because I felt under pressure actually, but it was kind of like breaking down those mistakes and realizing, okay, actually there are things that I should be doing about this, and it's not just that it was a stupid moment. It's maybe I need to be more conscious of what techniques I'm using at any time, and yeah, I need to take accountability for that.
Yeah. So it is a topic that is very interesting. I think personally that lots of people are actually not putting enough work post race, and they, even though they could get so much better, they make just tiny progress because they don't do the necessary work, and it's kind of a waste. You're putting so much effort into your physical training anyway, right? So
yeah,
it's not a big deal to sit down for half an hour, maybe even 15-20 minutes, and dig into what has actually happened and learn from it.
Yeah, I think one good thing that I've kind of been in the habit of in the past is even just having my map, flipping over like a part of the map where there's not any course, and then just writing on the back of the map there as I look into the front of the course, like on each leg what I did, and saying like, oh, I made this mistake kind of thing, and then going through that list afterwards and being like, okay, what are the biggest problems that I had, and I should work on that next time then, even if it just means that I'm thinking about that in the next race as a focus. I think that's a good way of improving.
Awesome. I'm smiling a lot because just last week, really, I just came back from the training camp for JWOG Romania next year, and we were there with Polish team plus one additional runner. And this additional runner, I'm not going to say who it was, but it was a very good junior. And I've learned that the person, even though has already a lot of success, hasn't really been doing a lot of analysis of the races. And yeah, we talked a little bit about what should have been happening after every race. And one of the things is exactly what you just mentioned, right? Just you have the map, turn it over, write down your thoughts and your mistakes, so that first of all, you write it down. It's already something that is contributing a lot, because somehow everything we write down sticks to our memory better, right? Second of all, you have the medium later on to go back to and review it. So I love it. Awesome.
Yeah. I think some people try to complicate it too much. Like I think there's some apps and different spreadsheets and things out there. But for me personally, I always found it easier to just, you just need a pen. That's all. And you just write it on the back of your map.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the methods. I mean, I'm probably one of those people that complicate it. Because what I also like to do is I like to, write it down on the map, but then put it also into the Excel sheet, so that you can actually look at the statistics later on.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's hard to, if you're doing it often enough, it will probably work. But if you're not doing it often enough, it's sometimes hard to figure out which mistakes you're doing the most often, right? And these are the ones you want to focus on the most. These are the ones you want to fix as soon as possible. So that's why I like having an Excel sheet so that you can just analyze your mistakes all together. But other than that, I would still recommend writing them with a pen and paper for the reason I mentioned earlier. Awesome. All right, so let's move to the next one. The next one is, I think it's connected with one of the videos that I'm going to record soon as the next one for the channel. And I want to make something for the goals and goal setting. And that's why I want to ask you about it. So are you setting the goals for yourself? Are you creating short-term goals or long-term goals, or maybe just one of those? So what's the process of doing that for you? And what were your goals for this season? And if you have any long-term goals, then what are those?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do set myself goals. I think like a couple of years ago, I found it difficult to set myself goals in the senior level. And I was kind of focusing on, I don't know, maybe I want to become top 20 in the World Cup this year or something. And I think that was a really arbitrary goal because it doesn't really give you, like, you can't really visualize what you need to run or like how you need to orienteer to become top 20.
Yeah.
For example, like it's really difficult to figure that out. So I started setting myself goals of becoming like the best in Britain instead, because I knew better how I needed to run in order to beat the girls who I'd be competing against at the British Championships, for example. And it was quite a difficult goal, but I mean, you should kind of set goals which are achievable, but that push you, of course. And I wasn't actually sure if I'd be able to do that because we have a lot of good competition. But yeah, I did manage to do that. But yeah, I think it's perhaps still not one of the best goals because, you know, anything can happen. But I think that was like a good aim in my head to motivate me.
So when you say in your head, does it mean that you have those goals just in your head, or do you write them down somewhere?
Yeah, sometimes I write them down as well. Like I'll go through what have I achieved in the past year? Where do I want to be? What do I need to do to get there? Kind of thing, like in all aspects, like technical, physical, even mental.
Yeah.
So maybe I need to run a faster 5K time sort of thing, or train to be able to run that time, or run up the hill more, kind of thing. To be honest, I'm not very good at doing these kind of measurable running goals. I'll train towards that kind of goal, but I haven't really tested myself so much on those when it comes to it. Just made sure that to get myself in a position where I'd feel confident that I could achieve that, and then I'm happy with that kind of
Do you
thing.
think it's helpful to have these goals?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's good motivation, and I think it's good to have a variety of different stuff, especially as an orienteer, where you're potentially doing sprint orienteering and forest orienteering, off-road. I think it's good to have a variety of goals to keep you motivated in all the different areas. So even like some of my goals might be go to the gym on Monday and Thursday each week, kind of thing, to make sure I do the strength work. And that's like obviously a very small goal.
Right. So it's like something you need to do to achieve the bigger goal, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you just have to split it down into chunks. And yeah, the things that are manageable, first of all, and you know that if you achieve those steps, then you'll be able to achieve this bigger goal, and that'll help you onto your goal of becoming British champion or something.
Yeah, like it.
Yeah.
So how high was your goal for this season?
This season, so I wasn't sure how much I believed it last year, but with Alice Leake coming 4th at the World Champs sprint race, I did think, okay, I should be able to get a medal because I'd been racing Alice in the sprints before that and had been competing well against her. And so I was thinking, okay, I could probably get a World Champs medal, but I don't believe it. and Emil Vingstead, who's been our coach in the GB team for the sprinting, he was also like, he also agreed that, you know, we should be aiming for a medal as a team, at least in the sprint relay. And we kind of thought about it and thought, well, if we're at that level where we can achieve a medal as a team, we should also be able to achieve medals individually.
Exactly.
And I mean, we kind of proved that with Chris Jones coming fourth as well in I think it was Rock 2016 sprint. He came fourth individually, and Alice came fourth last year. Ralph Street, he's came second in a World Cup knockout sprint. So I mean, we've got kind of like results to back us up that we know that we should be up there. So that kind of helped motivate over winter, but I still didn't really believe it until I started racing this season. And I think it was only at ASOM this year where I won all the races in Belgium that I've kind of figured, well, actually, these are some pretty good girls and I've been racing well against them. So I really should be aiming for individual medals this year. I mean, that still felt like a big jump up for me because obviously I haven't been up there position-wise before. And actually, like the last few years, I haven't really raced individual sprint as much. It's kind of been the one that I've dropped when there's been like a competition week of races. Like sprint's normally the one that I've dropped. So I haven't tested myself that much in the international field and sprint. And yeah, so I didn't know how I felt about it. But yeah, I think after I came second at the World Cup knockout sprint in Sweden, I could still kind of tell, okay, I am on track for a World Champs medal if all goes well. So yeah, I think it was more using that as motivation. Yeah, I suppose that's kind of what a goal is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, you should be
well,
using it.
One way or another. Awesome job for believing in yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Perfect. So do you have any long-term goals? I mean, you're the world champ now.
Yeah.
How much higher can you aim?
Well, really, I was kind of hoping for a medal this summer.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting 3, and I wasn't expecting one of them to be gold.
Right. I mean, to be honest, you know, the gold medal was a very close call, right? It could have gone. You might have been very easily also second.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think I've gotten my head around that now. But I was kind of aiming long term to win gold at WOC 24 in Scotland, or 25 in Finland. I'd really like to do well in the forest there. So those were my long-term goals. But now that I'm already a world champion and I've already achieved that, I guess I can keep fighting for medals in the world champs to come. But yeah, I think I also really do want to achieve forest medals and yeah, sort of prove myself in the forest more because I haven't got all the results to back that up yet. Like I don't feel like I've achieved my potential there yet.
So I'm guessing that you're not doing orienteering just for the results, but you actually do enjoy it, don't you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Well, like most of us. All right, awesome. So having achieved so much this season, tell us, how did you prepare for this season, both physically and also technically, if you can? And what do you think, again, are the most contributing factors to your success? Was it your physical form? I would be guessing that it probably played a big role since it was a sprint competition after all, right?
Yeah.
But also I suspect that you must have done a lot of technical preparation. So how did it look like, and didn't pay off?
So physically, I think the biggest thing I changed in the past year was since last spring, like spring 2021 or summer 2021. I've been training with a new athletics group, and we do a lot of speed work on the track. So I've been doing sort of like 2 minutes or under intervals. So just a lot of track speed work, basically like throughout the year, every kind of Tuesday night or so.
That's interesting. Simona said the same thing. She's doing lots of intervals, right? I don't know if you've been watching the chat with Simona, but she mentioned the intervals as well.
Yeah, but these have been like shorter than what I've done in the past. And I think that's really helped with my speed. So I've been training with sort of 800 meter and 1500 meter runners. And I think that kind of speed, just raising that level of speed, has helped me in the knockout sprints and sprints themselves. So that's been like probably the biggest physical change, because other than that, I've just been doing my normal training. And technically, so we had a few training weekends in Britain. I think it was just a couple over winter where we all met up and did some sprint intervals and like practice racing head to head. And other than that, I did an ASOM, and we had our sprint selection races in Britain in March, I think it was, and then the World Cup in Sweden. And that's kind of it, to be honest. That was about as much sprinting as I did. They were all quite good quality races.
Yeah.
But I think sprint, once you have that technique, I mean, once you can read a sprint map, and I mean, you have to get kind of into the flow of it again, but I don't think you have to do so much practicing of the actual skill, because I don't know, the main things that will come up are the big route choices. So I think as long as you can kind of practice big route choices, which I was doing at home as well, not regularly, but I did do like a lot of the running wilds route choice practice. I think that's just helped me kind of get more into the sprint mind for 2022. Yeah.
Is it like, because many people are analyzing the sprint maps through Google Street View and maybe some old maps of the terrain if they exist. Are you doing it as well as a team?
Yeah. So actually, Chris Jones kind of made us maps of the areas, and we were planning a lot of courses together. I did help Chris finish the map of Weiler, but it turned out the bit that I mapped was the qualification area. Sprint. So we were just planning a lot of courses, and we shared them on a Google Drive together.
How much do you think it helps? Like later on when you're running the competition, are you like, oh, I know this one, so I don't have to look at this one too much because I kind of ran it in my head already several times? Or do you still have to be focused like every other race on a map that you have never seen?
I think especially nowadays with artificial barriers, you still have to have the focus because things can totally change. Yeah. But I think it definitely helps to know where the valid routes are to begin with. You know that this is a string of buildings. You're probably not going to be going through there. Although they can also open up buildings now. But when you're more familiar with the map, you just kind of know where to look for the routes more quickly, I think. So I think that did help with picking out route choices in Weiler.
When you're picking up the map, you're starting the race, you're picking up the map. Are you immediately looking for artificial fences, or do you focus on them while picking individual route choices?
Yeah, just while picking the individual route choices. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but even at the start of the Weiler race, the sprint final, that was a section of map where I remember that I'd gone wrong in one of the running wild things that I did. So I was like, oh yeah, I have to be careful here, kind of thing, make sure I pick out the route correctly.
Awesome, right? And these kind of memories from doing your off-map trainings, really. Yeah. Maybe these are the ones that contributed to you not being 6 seconds slower, for example, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it helps a lot. You still have to navigate and obviously balance your speed with being able to navigate. But yeah, it definitely helps to be more prepared in sprint.
Yeah, that's another interesting topic, but I'm not going to get into that. It will take too long. Yeah. All right. So out of those that you've mentioned, what do you think is the most contributing factor?
I think probably for Weiler in particular, it probably was the map preparation, because there were some really tricky route choices there. And in the past World Champ sprint races I've done, that's kind of where I've always lost time, is on those route choices. So I think that was probably most important for me, to get those route choices more correct.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Nice to hear that. All right, let's move on. The next one is a little bit more focused on mental preparation and dealing with stress. I'm very interested in that topic because I'm working with a lot of youth, and young people are always have it always a little bit more difficult to deal with their emotions and stress and whatnot. They are more vulnerable. Vulnerable. Yeah. So I want to help them as much as possible, and I know that not everything works the same for everyone. So I'm kind of always trying to ask people what they do so that I have more ideas in my head to try out if something doesn't work. So if you can tell me a little bit about how you're dealing with your emotions before the start, and if you remember, you can also compare it maybe to how it was when you were a junior versus how it is now, and if you have grown and what helped you maybe get rid of some of the things that were really bugging you in the past.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I do still get stressed and nervous before big races.
I would be surprised if you wouldn't.
Yeah. Especially like the international sprint relays where you've got a team and it's all going to be high pressure and fast decisions.
Exactly.
I do before those. But yeah, I think race practice really helps. If you just practice racing more often, then you know what you're going to be dealing with. When you come to the race, it's not going to be so much of a surprise because you've done it so many times already. So I think, let's see, if I'm really stressed about a particular race, I will write down all my thoughts and feelings about it beforehand. So for example, the thing that stresses me out in sprint relays is not knowing where I'm going to be sent out, and if I have to fight against people, what am I going to do? So I'll write down some different scenarios even and say, oh, if I see this person come out next to me or just in front of me, then how am I going to deal with that? And it tends to boil down to focus on your own orienteering. Yeah. Or if it's right at the end, sprint, sprint really hard. So yeah, I think just kind of going through what you're thinking and like breaking down those thoughts really helps. And yeah, once I've gotten over that, I'll still feel the nerves, but I try to kind of turn it into excitement instead. The race. So in fact, actually, Charlotte Ward told me this year at the World Champs, when I was saying about how nervous I was going into racing for medals, she was saying to me that her psychologist told her to just say, I'm excited whenever she's feeling nervous. So that's what I started doing. I spent the whole week saying, I'm so excited.
Yeah, but it absolutely works because there's such a thin line between stress and excitement, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're stressed about something negative and you're excited about something positive, really in your body, the emotions are almost the same. It's just negative and positive, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that really helped me actually this year to just relax and enjoy the atmosphere more. Yeah, so I'd recommend that.
Awesome. Yeah, I like it a lot because I always try to break down the feelings as well. I think this is really the crucial factor that helps you figure out what's really stressing you out. Because what I find out most of the time is that people feel stressed about something, but they are not sure what it is.
Yeah.
And if we dig into the thing that is in our head and maybe do a few loops of, okay, why is it stressing me? All right, it's stressing me because of this and that, but why is this particular thing stressing me? And let's go deeper. Sometimes you either can figure out that it's not really anything worth stressing about, right? Or sometimes you can figure out, okay, so maybe I'm stressed because I feel the pressure coming from my coach because I think he or she expects me to do very, very well here, maybe get a medal. But maybe it's just an assumption you've made in your head and it's not really true, right?
Yeah.
So maybe all it takes is to go and talk with the coach and ask him what are his expectations. Right, so I like it a lot.
Yeah, and I think actually that's where the racing more often comes in to it as well. Whereas if you race often, you can kind of manage your expectations better. Because you know sort of how you should be oriented.
Yeah. I have my own theory about this. I mean, it's not like something that other people didn't think about, but I think that what you're saying is absolutely true. So you need to race a lot, because the more you repeat the thing and the feeling that you get, the more you get used to it and learn dealing with it, right? Also, it gives you more opportunities to test different approaches to deal with it. So that's absolutely true. I also think that it's a very interesting approach to try to treat some of the not so important races, maybe even training sessions, as they would be very important, right? Because it again allows you to build at least a little bit of that feeling. Obviously, not completely. You will never get the same feeling at the World Champs versus, even the World Cup race, I think. I don't know. You tell me. I've never been to the World Cup race.
No, I agree, actually. Yeah.
So, but trying to recreate at least a portion of this still is very important, because it helps you learn how to deal with it. And actually, before this chat will be online, there will be a video about what I'm talking about right now as well. So maybe people will already be more aware of that. Okay. What do you do outside of orienteering?
I work full-time.
You work full-time?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
I honestly think that being a full-time worker, having a full-time job and doing orienteering on a world-class level is something that is totally extraordinary. I mean, I've talked with lots of people, and they always say how hard it is to connect 1 and 2 together. And most of the people either are not able to get the results because they can't get enough rest, for example, or maybe miss some training sessions because of their life, or they just give up after some time because they figure that it's not sustainable, so to say. Yeah. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I'm quite often stressed, to be honest. But actually, a lot of the other athletes on the British team also work full time. So I guess we're all in it together, and we know. Well, I don't know. They kind of inspire me to keep going as well. Like Chris Jones, for example, he works full time, and he's like a top class runner as well. So I mean, it's clear that it can be done. So just get on and do it, kind of thing. Get on and do the training. But I think for sprint, it's easier than in forest, because I think in sprints, like I said earlier, once you have those skills and you're kind of into the flow of reading sprint maps, then it's more just about how you perform on the day. Whereas in forest, I think you really need to keep working on those skills more often.
Yeah, and also I think in the forest races, that terrain familiarity is something that plays a big role, and you kind of need to spend a lot more time in a specific type of a terrain to actually prepare yourself for this one competition, right, that you're aiming at.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I found in the past few years, I haven't been able to take training camps really, because I only had a set number of holidays.
Yeah.
Kind of covered the World Cup races and the World Champs. So during COVID year, I actually managed to do some training camps, and I got to go to the Czech Republic and train there. And
because you were able to work remotely?
Well, no, just because the competition was all cancelled, so I could use my holiday time to go to training camp instead.
I see.
Yeah, so I went to the Czech Republic and really enjoyed the terrain there. So I was really excited for the World Champs throughout the whole of winter 2020 and into the start of 21. And then I came sixth in the World Champs long distance there. So that was my first like big forest result that I had. And similarly, I'd been kind of out to some, I'd been to the Euro Cup in France as well in 2020. And I think that was similar technical terrain to the World Cup in Italy at the end of 2021. And I think just, I don't know, getting back into that terrain really helped me for those races. So this year, I haven't really had the chance to do that, which is why I didn't perform very well in Estonia at all. I think, although I did feel more comfortable in the terrain at the very end of the week in Estonia, but it was a bit too late then. So yeah, for the upcoming year, I'm going to try and take more time off and do training camps now.
Is it possible at your job to take more time off than normally?
Yeah. So they're allowing me to take some more unpaid leave, and then next summer I'm taking a career break. So I'm going to have 3 months off next summer to just focus on orienteering and go abroad more. So I'm going to have a few weeks before the World Champs in Switzerland to actually train. And I also get a training camp this October. So
Awesome.
that's exciting.
I remember when I was looking for my job, it was like 7 or 8 years ago. One of the main demands from my side was you need to be able to give me like 50 days a year.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a paid leave. It obviously can be a non-paid leave, but I need to leave.
Yeah.
That's the life of an orienteer.
No, I think because I've been with them since 2018, so for like the 4 years almost. So yeah, I think they're happier with me now, going abroad more and taking more leave. So.
Awesome. I mean, congratulations. If I may ask one more question regarding that. So what's your daily routine? Do you prefer to train in the morning, or do you do it in the late afternoon, evening?
Yeah, it kind of changes day to day. It depends on how I'm feeling on that day. When I'm in like good training routine, I'd like to train twice a day. And because of working hours, I'll choose to train either morning, lunchtime, or evening, and try and do 2 of those something.
So if you do 2 trainings per day, what kind of training sessions do you do?
So maybe like spin class and then a run, or if I do like gym and then a run, or a run and then intervals later on in the day. This year going into the World Champs, for the interval days, I was trying to double up because we had like qualifiers and finals on the same day. So I tried to do like a run and maybe a bit of tempo in there, and then intervals in the evening. Anything? Right,
makes sense to kind of simulate what your body needs to be accustomed with, right, in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then in between, I just sit at a desk, so I get recovery.
Yeah, but still, wow, doing 2 training sessions per day, and then somewhere in between.
It's not every day. It's kind of like that's sort of what I aspire to do every day, but it doesn't happen that much. Yeah.
Still, wow. All right, awesome. Do you consider yourself to be a sprint runner now that you are a sprint world champion?
No, I wouldn't say I'm a sprint specialist. I mean, yeah, like I said before, it's kind of been the discipline that I've dropped in previous like World Champs and things. Like World Champs 2021, I dropped this individual sprint so I could focus on the others better and not tire myself out too much in 1 week. But I mean, I think I understand I'm clearly quite good at sprint. So it's nice to take confidence for future races, but I really love the forest, and yeah, I really want to just do well in the forest too.
Do you think it's harder to get a good result in a forest? I mean, taking into account all the competition as well.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it seems like, I don't know, we Brits, we don't do as well in the forest as we do at sprint. But I think that's just because we don't get as much exposure to training in the forest. So I think like Ralph Street, for example, who lives in Norway, he tends to do the best out of the Brits in the forest usually because he
just has these kind of harder terrains, right, to train in every day.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of the forests that we have here, unless you live in Scotland, it's normally quite brambly or something, and it's not always easy to run off the paths, kind of thing.
Yeah, I've been once to Scotland.
Yeah, Scotland does have some really nice terrain.
During the World Champs, that was already a few years ago.
Yeah.
But but unfortunately I got injured right before it, and I didn't run anything. So I didn't get the chance to experience the Scottish forests.
Yeah. No, here in Wales we have like a lot of open terrain. So we have open sand dunes and these kind of moorlands with big sinkholes in them. So like they're both equally technical, but then you just don't have the same low visibility that you do in the forest.
Exactly.
So yeah, you need to just practice that more, I think.
Yeah. So I asked this question because I kind of get a feeling that the nationalities that don't get these very nice terrains, well mapped also, which is important. So obviously Scandinavia, Denmark, France, some regions of France at least, right? And probably several more, Switzerland, right? You can find very nice terrains over there to run on and improve your road technique. Or alternatively, you have to travel a lot and participate in lots of races all around the world. That works too. But I think that if you're not doing that, you have to be really talented to actually compete on a world-class level in the forest. It's such a difficult feat.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. The last one. What is the most important attribute or skill of an orienteer, in your opinion? And you can divide it into sprint and forest if you want to.
Yeah, no, I think I was going to say like an important attribute is a willingness to learn and like accept the mistakes you make and learn from that. Kind of like how we were discussing earlier. But yeah, you have to take accountability for the mistakes that you've made. And also, like, say if you need to get fitter or something, you just have to be realistic about that and be like, okay, if I'm going to do well at orienteering, I need to work on myself and improve these things. So just, I guess it's kind of like being any athlete. You have to have the determination and keep trying to improve yourself in every way that's possible.
And there are many ways that you need to improve yourself in orienteering, aren't there?
Yeah. I think it's good to be flexible on orienteering as well, like because orienteering is always different wherever you go. Like there'll always be different terrain, different courses. You have to be able to adapt a huge variety of terrain and races. So yeah, you have to kind of make yourself strong across a lot of different bases.
True.
Be prepared to work on all of that.
True. All right. I remembered one thing now, which I was thinking about while walking to here. When I even think about your name, do you know what I hear in my head immediately? I hear, "Go, Megan!" Somehow it just stuck to me. Okay. And whenever I even think about your name, I just hear this voice in my head, and I'm pretty sure it's one of your coaches.
Yeah, no, I've got two really good coaches who they were the junior squad coaches for Wales, and yeah, since I met them, they've just been brilliant. Like the whole time, they've always pushed me to keep working on my orienteering, but also just having fun. And yeah, we've been on training camps and things since leaving the junior squad. We still do a lot of stuff with them, and they always come out to world champs and different competitions to support me and my boyfriend Ben as well, and Chris Jones as well, because Chris was from Wales as well. So yeah, they're really great.
Awesome. Good to hear. Good to hear. I mean, not everybody has this kind of opportunity to work with people that will support you all the way, all the time. Perfect. So again, congratulations for scoring the World Champ gold medal this year. I wish you all the best in the upcoming years as well. I think that you will definitely, now that you've already achieved the top and you got there and you kind of know the feeling and know how you have managed to get there, I think you will be able to, well, of course, if no injury will happen, you will be able to maintain the similar level all the time. But I also wish you from the bottom of my heart that you are able to repeat this kind of a success in a forest, because I kind of feel that, and you've mentioned it, I kind of feel that you really would want that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you very much. I really enjoyed the chat. Thank you very much. Yeah, Megan, thanks. Hopefully talk to you next time. Yeah, okay, take care. Thank you. Wow, what a talk with Megan, right? Lots of interesting information, lots of insights. And if you think that someone might learn from this, then please share this video with that person. We are all here to grow together, so let's help each other out. If you also think that this video was as cool as I think it was, then hit the like button under the video. It helps the channel to reach more people all around the world. And also, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, then subscribe. Last but not least, if you want me to invite here someone that you would dream to hear the talk with, then let me know. And also let me know what kind of questions should I ask that person. I will do my best to bring him or her here and have a blast together. Thank you very much for watching and for listening, and see you in the next one.